Hi, my name is Maya. I'm 29 years old, and for most of my life, I've been the one who figured it out. Figured out how to make rent when dad's hours got cut. Figured out how to keep the lights on when mom's medical bills piled up. Figured out how to smile when my younger brother got things I could only dream about. So, when my father looked me in the eye over Sunday dinner and said, "We're putting the down payment on a house for your brother," his voice steady, almost proud. "You'll understand. You always do." Something inside me went still. Not broken, not angry, just done. Because this time, understanding meant pretending I didn't exist. Before we continue, I want to know, if this were happening to you right now, what would you feel? Anger? Relief? Numbness? This is Scarlett Johansson. And whatever you're feeling, you're not alone here. I didn't become the family safety net overnight. That role was built carefully, one crisis at a time, until it became so normal that no one questioned it anymore. When I was 22, fresh out of college with a marketing degree and $40,000 in student loans, I moved back home. Not because I wanted to, because someone had to. My parents' mortgage was 3 months behind. The property tax notice came certified mail. My mother cried at the kitchen table every night while my father stared at the wall, too proud to admit he'd been demoted. So I got a job, then a second job. Then I started freelancing on weekends. I paid the mortgage that first month, then the next month, then it became expected. My brother Jake was 19 then, just starting community college. Everyone said he needed support, needed encouragement, needed to focus on his studies without the burden of adult problems. "He needs this opportunity," my mother would say, stroking his hair while he played video games in the living room. "He's got so much potential." I had potential too, once. But potential doesn't pay water bills. I bought the new refrigerator when ours died in July, $1,200 on my credit card. I replaced the washing machine in September, another $800. When the dining room table collapsed during Thanksgiving, I ordered a new one, $600, assembled it myself at midnight after my double shift. Christmas came. Jake got a PlayStation 5, new headphones, a gaming chair. I got a scarf and a card that said thanks for everything. I told myself that being needed was the same as being loved. My hands cracked from dish soap and exhaustion. I'd wake up at 5:30 a.m., check my bank account, calculate what I could move from savings to checking. If the car insurance was due, I covered it. If dad needed new work boots, I handled it. Then I'd go to my job, smile at clients, pitch campaigns, pretend I wasn't running on 4 hours of sleep and grocery store coffee. Some nights I'd come home smelling like the gym where I taught spin classes for extra money, and I'd still have to cook dinner because mom's arthritis was acting up, and Jake didn't know how to boil water. I kept saying yes because saying no felt like betrayal, and they'd trained me so well to confuse sacrifice with family loyalty. The week before Dad's announcement, the house felt different. Not louder, heavier. I stood at the kitchen counter I'd helped pay off, scrolling through payment reminders on my phone. Mortgage, due in 6 days. Car insurance, already late. Electric bill, final notice. A text from my boss about a potential promotion. I'd been at the company 4 years, consistently top performer, but they just hired a new director, and I was told to be patient. From the living room, I heard excitement. Dad's voice carried that tone he only used when he was truly happy, the one I hadn't heard in years. "The realtor said we can close in 30 days if we can get the down payment together." I walked to the doorway. My father sat on the couch I'd bought when I got my first bonus. My mother was on the armchair, the one I'd replaced after she complained about back pain. Jake sprawled across the sectional I'd put on a payment plan, his laptop open to Zillow. I cleared my throat. "What's going on?" They all looked up, surprised, like I'd materialized out of nowhere. "Oh, Maya," Mom said, her face bright. "We found the perfect starter house for Jake. 3 bedrooms, nice neighborhood, good schools for when he settles down. A house. For Jake, who'd never paid rent a day in his life." Dad jumped in before I could process. "The market's perfect right now. We need to act fast." I felt it then. That sinking feeling that settles behind your ribs when you already know the ending but your brain hasn't caught up yet. "How much is the down payment?" $40,000, Dad said, like it was nothing. Like I hadn't just spent $40,000 on keeping our family afloat over the past 3 years. The room spun slightly. "Where's the money coming from?" Silence. The kind that answers questions. Mom fidgeted with her sleeve. "Well, we've been saving a little here and there." "We?" I asked. Dad's jaw tightened. He gave me that look. The one that meant don't make this difficult. "We're a family, Maya. We pool resources." That night, after everyone went to bed, I did something I'd never done before. I went through the filing cabinet in the basement, where Dad kept financial documents. I found mortgage statements. I found bank records. I found a savings account I didn't know existed with $62,000 in it. $62,000. While I'd been covering their bills, eating ramen for dinner, driving a car held together by hope and duct tape, they'd been saving. For Jake. The next morning, I didn't bring it up at breakfast. I went to work. I pitched a campaign. I smiled. But that night, I started making calls. First to a real estate agent, then to a moving company, then to my bank to open new accounts they couldn't touch. 3 days later, they made it official at Sunday dinner. Dad cleared his throat, that self-important sound he makes before announcements. So, we've made a decision about Jake's house. I set down my fork. We're going to use our savings for the down payment, he continued. It's the right time for him to build equity. What about me? I asked quietly. Mom reached across the table, patronizing. Honey, you're doing fine. You have your apartment, your job. Jake's just starting out. I live here, I said. In the house I help pay for. Dad's face reddened. You pay rent. That's different. I pay the mortgage, I corrected. There's a difference. Jake shifted uncomfortably but said nothing. Never did. We appreciate your help, Mom said quickly. But this is an investment in your brother's future. I looked at my father. You have $62,000 in savings. His face went white. How do you know about that? I live here, I repeated. In the house I help pay for. The house where I've covered bills for 3 years while you saved for him. Mom's voice turned sharp. That money is for emergencies. I am an emergency, I said. I've been an emergency for 3 years. You just didn't notice because I handled it quietly. Dad stood up. This is inappropriate dinner conversation. No, I said, standing too. What's inappropriate is taking advantage of your daughter while calling it family. I walked out, went upstairs, and started packing. If this were your family, what would you do? Would you keep the peace and swallow the unfairness? Or would you finally choose yourself? I spent that entire night awake, sitting on my bed surrounded by boxes, not crying, planning. I'd been planning since I found those bank statements, actually. I'd already toured a 1-bedroom apartment across town, small but mine. The landlord had approved my application. The lease sat in my purse, unsigned but ready. All I needed was the courage to sign it. The next morning, Monday, I called in sick to work. I wasn't sick. I was strategic. I drove to the apartment complex and signed the lease. Paid first month, last month, security deposit. Then I called the moving company. How much are we moving? The dispatcher asked. I looked at the list I'd made. Every item I'd purchased over the years. I have receipts for everything, I said. A full bedroom set, a desk, a sectional sofa, a dining table with 6 chairs, a refrigerator, a washer and dryer, 2 TVs, a coffee table, kitchen appliances, dishes, silverware, and about 40 boxes of personal items. There was a pause. That's a lot. How many people live there? Doesn't matter, I said. It's all mine. We scheduled for Wednesday. My family would be out. Jake had class until 4 p.m. Mom had her book club. Dad worked until 5:30. I'd have from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. 5 hours to remove myself from their lives. Tuesday night, I packed my personal items. Clothes, books, photos I actually wanted, documents, everything with my name on it. I left out one folder, a thick folder I'd been building for weeks. Inside were receipts. Every payment I'd made to their mortgage, printed from my bank statements. Every appliance purchase with my credit card. Every furniture invoice with my name. Every utility bill I'd covered when they came up short. It was 3 inches thick. I didn't sleep. I watched the clock. At 6 a.m., I heard my father's alarm. Listened to them move through their morning routine. Jake stumbled downstairs at 8:30, grabbed a Pop-Tart, and left for class. Mom left at 9:15, calling out, "There's leftover chicken in the fridge for dinner." I waited for my father's car to disappear down the street. Then I texted the moving company. "I'm ready." The truck arrived at 10:07 a.m. 2 men, both professional, both unconcerned with family drama. I met them at the door with my folder. Everything on this list is mine. I have proof of purchase for every item. The older guy, Marcus, flipped through it. "You're thorough." "I had to be," I said. We started with my bedroom. Easy, uncontroversial. Then we moved to the living room. "The sectional," I said. Marcus checked the list. "Receipt from Furniture Depot, $2,400, your credit card." "Got it." Piece by piece, we dismantled the living room. The sectional went first. then the TV and stand I'd bought during Black Friday. The coffee table I'd assembled myself, the end tables, the lamps. I left my father's old recliner, the one with the duct tape on the armrest. I left my mother's decorative pillows. But everything else, everything functional, came with me. The kitchen was next. The refrigerator, I said. Marcus checked the receipt. You bought this? 6 months ago. The old one died. Out it went. We left the ancient microwave that barely worked, took the coffee maker I'd bought, the toaster oven, the dishes, my whole set from when I thought I'd move out after college, before I got trapped here. The silverware I'd bought because theirs was mismatched and embarrassing when we had company. What about the washer and dryer? Marcus asked. I showed him the invoice. Mine. They're gonna notice, his partner said. That's the point, I replied. By 1 p.m., the truck was packed. The house looked strange, like a stage set with missing props. The living room echoed. The kitchen had gaps where appliances used to be. My bedroom was completely empty except for the carpet. I did one last walkthrough. In each room, I saw the ghost outline of my life. Rectangles on the wall where my TV had hung. Indentations in the carpet from my furniture. Clean squares on the kitchen counter where my coffee maker had sat. I left the folder on the dining table I'd bought, the one we'd eaten Sunday dinners at for 2 years. On top, I placed a single sticky note. Everything listed was mine. You're welcome for the 3 years of free labor. I didn't write anything else. No explanation, no goodbye, no contact information for my new place. They'd never asked about my feelings before. I wasn't going to hand them a script now. I followed the moving truck to my new apartment. It was smaller than my room at their house. But every inch belonged to me. The movers brought everything up 3 flights of stairs. I directed traffic, telling them where each piece should go. My sectional in the living room, my TV on the wall, my dining table by the window, my refrigerator humming quietly in my kitchen. By 5 p.m., they were gone, and I was alone. I sat on my sectional, the same one my brother used to sprawl across while I worked double shifts. I turned on my TV, the same one my father watched football on every Sunday, and I breathed. They didn't know where I lived. I'd made sure of that, changed my address at work, forwarded my mail to a P.O. box, deleted the location services on the Find My app. For the first time in 7 years, I was invisible by choice. My phone started ringing at 5:47 p.m. Dad's number. I didn't answer. It rang 4 more times. Then Mom called. Then Jake. Then Dad again. I turned my phone face down and made dinner in my kitchen, using my dishes, my silverware, my coffee maker to brew decaf, because I could sleep peacefully tonight. The voicemails started after 6 p.m. I listened to them on speaker while I ate pasta on my sectional. Dad's first message, timestamp 5:47 p.m. Maya, where the hell is everything? Call me back right now. Mom's message, timestamp 2 p.m. Sweetie, there's been some kind of mistake. Someone broke in, I think. All the furniture is gone. Are you safe? Please call. Jake's message, timestamp 6:15 p.m. Dude, what the fuck? Did you seriously take everything? Dad's second message, timestamp 6:34 p.m. This is theft. Grand larceny. I'm calling the police if you don't return our property immediately. I almost laughed. Our property. Property I bought with money I earned while they saved for Jake's house. I didn't call back. I washed my dishes in my sink, dried them with my towels, and put them away in my cabinets. Then I took a shower in my bathroom, changed into my pajamas, and got into my bed. My sheets, my pillows, my comforter. I slept for 9 hours straight. No alarm. No one asking me to cover a bill. No guilt about resting when I should be productive. Just sleep. Thursday morning, I woke up at 8 a.m. naturally. Made coffee in my coffee maker. Sat at my dining table with the morning sun coming through my window. My phone had 3 missed calls and 47 text messages. I blocked all their numbers. At 10 a.m., someone knocked on my door. 3 sharp bangs. Aggressive. I looked through the peephole. My father, my mother, and Jake stood in the hallway. My father's face was red. My mother's eyes were puffy. Jake looked uncomfortable. I'd wondered how they found me. Later, I'd discovered Jake had called my office and charmed my assistant into mentioning the general area I lived in. Then they'd driven around until they spotted my car. I opened the door, but didn't step aside. There you are, my father said, pushing past me before I could react. They stormed into my apartment, eyes scanning, cataloging. There's our stuff. I closed the door calmly. My stuff. Mom's voice cracked. Maya, honey, what's going on? We came home and everything was gone. We thought something terrible happened. Something terrible did happen, I said. You chose Jake over me. Again. Dad pointed at my sectional. That couch belongs to the family. I walked to my kitchen counter, picked up a folder, an exact copy of the one I'd left at their house, and dropped it on my coffee table. Papers slid across the surface. Receipts, credit card statements, bank transfers, all highlighted, all organized chronologically. That couch, I said, pointing, was purchased by me on November 14th, 2022, for $2,400. Here's the receipt. The TV? Black Friday 2023, $800. The refrigerator? June 2024, $1,200. The washer and dryer? March 2024, $1,600 total. The dining table you're standing next to? April 2023, $600. I pulled out a separate stack of papers. Here are the mortgage payments I made to your bank account. 26 months of payments, ranging from $1,200 to $1,800 per month, totaling $38,400. Here are the utility bills I covered, $4,200 over 3 years. Here are the car insurance payments, the property tax I helped with, the medical bills I paid when Mom needed that procedure. Silence. You kept receipts? Mom whispered. I kept proof. I corrected. Because somewhere deep down, I knew this day would come. Jake spoke for the first time. This is extreme, Maya. You're making us look bad. I turned to him slowly. Now we care about appearances? You posted photos of your new house on Instagram while I lived in your spare room. I saw the celebration dinner at Morton's Steakhouse. $300 for 3 people. I wasn't invited because I was working overtime to cover your parents' mortgage so they could save for your down payment. His mouth opened, closed. Dad slammed his hand on my coffee table, making the papers jump. This is theft, plain and simple. I picked up my phone. Go ahead, call the police. I held it out to him. I'll show them these receipts. You can explain why you think furniture I purchased with my money, my credit, my name on every single invoice, belongs to you. He didn't take the phone. Mom sank onto my sectional without asking, tears streaming. We were going to pay you back eventually. We just needed time. You've had 3 years, I said quietly. You had time. You had $62,000 in savings. You chose not to help me. You chose to let me struggle while you built Jake's future. You're our daughter, Mom sobbed. We knew you'd be fine. That's the problem, I said. You knew I'd be fine because you knew I'd figure it out. I always did. And you used that. You weaponized my competence and called it love. Dad's voice dropped. Dangerous. So you're cutting us off? Over money? No, I said. I'm cutting you off because when it was time to invest in someone's future, you chose him without a second thought. When it was time to sacrifice, I was always the sacrifice. And I'm done. Jake stepped forward. Maya, come on. This is family. Family? I repeated. You know what family is to me? Paying your parents' mortgage while working 60-hour weeks so you could play video games in their living room rent-free? Family is eating 99-cent ramen while they took you to Capitol Grill for your birthday. Family is being told, you'll understand when they give you a $15 Target gift card for Christmas while you're literally standing in the house you helped pay for. We didn't ask you to do all that, Jake said defensively. You didn't have to ask, I said. You just had to watch me do it and never once offer to help. Not once. In 3 years. Mom stood up, wiping her eyes. What do you want from us? I took a breath. I want you to leave. I want you to go back to your house, the one I helped save, and figure out your own bills. I want you to face the consequences of your choices without using me as a safety net. You're being cruel, Dad said. No, I replied. I'm being clear. There's a difference. They left slowly, my father muttering about lawyers, my mother crying, Jake silent. I locked the door behind them and stood in my apartment. My space, my furniture, my peace. The calls continued for 3 days. Then they stopped. A week later, I got an email from my father. The subject line read, Family Emergency. I deleted it without reading. 2 weeks later, my mother texted from a number I didn't recognize. The mortgage is late. Can you help just this once? I read it 3 times. Then I blocked that number too. A month passed. My life didn't fall apart. It settled. I woke up when I wanted. Made coffee in my kitchen. Went to work without the crushing anxiety of wondering what bill would come next. My boss called me into her office on a Tuesday. We're creating a senior strategist position, she said. It's yours if you want it. 20% raise, better hours, your own team. I said yes. Not because I needed it to survive, but because I wanted it to thrive. My apartment filled slowly with things I chose. Plants on the windowsill that I didn't have to share. Pictures on the walls of friends, not obligation. Groceries I bought because I wanted them, not because someone else expected dinner. The first time I went to Target and bought something frivolous, a decorative throw pillow that served no purpose, I cried in the parking lot, happy tears, free tears. My family didn't disappear entirely. They circled at a distance. My mother sent cards on my birthday, generic ones from Walgreens. My father emailed occasionally, subject lines like checking in that were really, "We need money." Jake tried once, showing up at my office. "Can we talk?" he asked. I met him at a coffee shop, neutral ground. "They're struggling," he said. "Without you." "I know," I said. He blinked. "You don't care?" "I care," I corrected. "I just care about myself more now." "There's a difference." He stirred his coffee. "They want to make things right." "Define make things right," I said. "Apologize? Acknowledge what they did? Pay me back the $50,000 I spent keeping them afloat? Or do they want me to come back and fix things while they save for your second house?" Silence. "That's what I thought," I said. He left. I finished my coffee alone. It tasted better that way. 3 months after I moved out, I got a Facebook message from my mother. No preamble, no small talk. "Your father and I have been in counseling. The therapist helped us see how we treated you. We're sorry." I read it, then read it again. Then I typed back, "I appreciate the apology. I'm not ready to rebuild yet. Maybe someday." She replied immediately. "When?" "When I'm ready," I wrote. "On my terms. Not yours." She didn't like that, but she accepted it. 6 months later, we met for coffee. Just my mother and me. She looked older, tired. "The house is hard without you," she admitted. "I imagine it is," I said. "We had to sell the sectional and get a used one from Facebook Marketplace," she continued, like I should feel guilty. "I'm sure that was challenging," I said neutrally. She waited for me to offer to help, to slip back into the old pattern. But I just sipped my latte and waited. "Your father wants to apologize too," she said finally. "He can email me," I replied. "Can't you just come to dinner?" "No." "Maya." "Mom," I interrupted gently. "I'm not coming back. Not to live, not to fix things, not to play happy family while you save for Jake's next milestone. I have my own life now. You're welcome to be part of it, but only if you can respect that I'm not your emergency fund anymore." Her eyes watered. "We really did love you." "I believe you," I said. "And I did. You just loved your comfort more, and your image of Jake's success more, and your plans more. I was never the priority. I was the means to an end." "That's not fair," she whispered. "Neither was asking me to understand while you gave him everything," I said. "But here we are." We finished our coffee in silence. When we left, she hugged me. I let her. But I didn't promise another visit. A year after I moved out, I bought a condo. 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, 850 square feet of mine. I used the money I'd saved by not covering their expenses. My down payment came from the paychecks I actually got to keep. The day I got the keys, I sat on the floor of my empty living room and cried. Not sad tears, victorious ones. I didn't invite my family to my housewarming. I invited friends, coworkers, people who'd supported me without draining me. We drank wine and ate cheese and celebrated my space. My mother texted, "Heard you bought a place. Congrats." I replied, "Thank you." She wrote back, "Can we see it?" I thought about it, really thought, then typed, "Maybe at Christmas. We'll see." That was 18 months ago. They came to Christmas. For 2 hours. It was awkward and polite and surface level. My father looked around at my furniture, my kitchen, my space, and said, "You've done well for yourself." "I have," I agreed. "We haven't talked about the money. We haven't talked about Jake's house or their struggles or the 3 years I spent being their solution. Maybe we will someday. Maybe we won't. But here's what I learned. They didn't break me when they chose him over me. They revealed themselves. And I finally believed what I was seeing. I didn't lose my family that day. I took back what was mine. I found something more valuable. I found my worth. I found my boundaries. I found my peace. If any part of this story felt familiar, like you've been the understanding one, the responsible one, the one who figures it out while everyone else gets to dream, I want you to know something. You deserve more than being the safety net. You deserve to be the priority, including your own. Like, share, and subscribe for more stories of quiet strength right here. More stories are coming, and you deserve to be seen.